Greetings. Welcome to Limitless Alchemy 808, a channel of divine reflection. I'm Patience. I'm just curious. Why are humans so attached to their offspring? We are the only beings that attach ourselves to our offspring in such a way that we live vicariously through them. We force them into roles that they don't want to be in, and basically place the entirety of our happiness solely on their shoulders, so that when they don't do what we want, we take it so personally and we take it out on them. I have 2 sons. I'm not a fucking boy mom. Don't ever call me a boy mom. I am a mother of sons. I realized that my keys were super loud. So I'm just taking this little break from my walk to finish this video. But as I was saying, my 2 sons are 17 and 8. And when my eldest was about in 1st grade, I had switched his schools because I did not like his 1st grade teacher. She was very racist. She would talk shit about the Asian students in her class to me when I would volunteer. And I would look at her and think, why are you here? What is the point of you being a teacher? Because I would see her giving them the answers. Like, she would just give up when they wouldn't give her the answer she was looking for and just give it to them. And she was also perpetuating my son to be a class clown because she favored him. She felt that he was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and that completely undid the work that we had done with his kindergarten teacher. Amazing woman. Definitely wish her all the best because she truly is a beautiful soul. And so I moved my eldest to another school, an academy, and when he got there, he was so upset from the change that he lashed out at another student and slapped them. And instead of me asking him why he did that, what was wrong, why did he feel to be so aggressive with another person, I screamed at him. I screamed at him almost the whole ride home from the school. And I even tried spanking him because that's how I was raised. But when I went to spank him, he just laughed at me. And I know because he knew that that's not really who I was or who I am. And I just said to myself, okay, spanking's not gonna work. And so, I didn't really want to hit him anyway because I don't agree with the way that I was raised. So why would I perpetuate that with my own children? But I still had a lot of unresolved issues within myself that I was so attached to my son and what he did that I would rage. I would rage at him. And I have apologized to him about that. Sometimes we still yell at each other when we're arguing, but we're working through that. That's not really an issue for us anymore. We just talk about things and just like, hey, I understand you want something this way, but it can't be that way right now. And can we just compromise? Can we work together? Can we come to a solution for everything? And that is how I picked up things here and there from my parents. The spanking from my mother, and the screaming and berating from my father. Even though my father would reason with me most of the time, even as a child, he would reason with me because I think he was also scared of my mom. So he hit me once. He just tapped me on the leg because I had just ran out in the street after a ball and almost got hit right after he told me not to go in the street after the ball. But I was like 5 years old. Why wasn't he out there watching me? Anyways, kids of the 80s and 90s, and it's fucking Lord of the Flies, basically. But it was something that I've always said to my son, even before coming to awareness that he's a reflection of me. And it is said that everyone is you pushed out, but that is merely aspects of yourself that are being reflected to you. Each of us is a soul in our own living experience. But we're here to mirror to each other in the physical realm. The aspects and the roles that we agree to in the astral realm. It still hasn't come to me why murder, violence, suicide, those sorts of things are still relevant to this experience. But I know that we're progressing to a timeline where those aspects are becoming obsolete. And it has a lot to do with more and more of us detaching, because we can see the evidence from the old programming, from the old timeline, of how attachment is such a source of suffering that we're inflicting upon ourselves for no reason. But as long as you become aware of that and work to the level of detachment where you're no longer forcing outcomes, you're no longer trying to control everyone and everything around you, you're just allowing people and situations to reveal themselves in their own time. I mean, yes, we should teach our children not to touch fire and, safety things. Keep protecting them from harm. Yes, emotional harm does do a lot of damage. But a lot of the times, we're just putting our children into boxes or even subjecting them to emotional harm that they may not even have experienced. They may not even come in contact with it for not having awareness of it, but because we impart our assumptions, our limiting beliefs based on past imprints, then we're bringing it into their field. We're introducing them to that. I didn't know I had ADHD up until 2 years ago. And then I am self-identified ASD1. And the reason why I wasn't told about my diagnoses, because that person didn't want me put into a box. But essentially, I was put into a box nonetheless, because I was raised to heavily mask. And it's just all the different shit going on. A woman getting ready, getting herself ready for her own son's prom, buying herself a bouquet to have him give her, and then comparing herself already to her son's date's dress or corsage or whatever. And it's just that level of attachment is enmeshment, is placing your child in the role of your emotional partner, whereas they don't belong there. That's not for them. That's not a burden for them to carry. Even your partner shouldn't shoulder the burden of your happiness. It should be you that makes yourself happy. It should be you that controls your happiness. Yes, we get down. Yes, we get sad. Yes, we get angry. It's all valid. It's part of the experience. But the only expectations you should have are the ones you put on yourself. If you don't expect the world, you can't be let down. And there's also the levels of attachment where the parent it's just jealous of their child, and they see the role that their child is meant to embody and feel that entitlement, feel that that is for them, when it's really not. But they decide to meddle and block certain opportunities or aspects or people from their child's life. To undercut their destiny, to undercut what they're meant to embody. But anything that is for you, no one can take away but yourself. And anything done in the shadows will come to light regardless, no matter how hard you try to fight it. But that is another form of enmeshment, and one that I experienced. And another way is living vicariously through your children. Yes, we should always want better for our children than we had ourselves. But our definition of best is different than our children's definition of best. And, that's why there's so many people in the healthcare industry who shouldn't be there. Because the level of bedside manner, the way they treat their patients, it shows they don't want to be there. All the malpractice that happens in the child care industry, in the senior elderly care industry, just all over, people growing up to please their parents, to please what others think is acceptable for them to be, for them to do, when really that's not what they want to do. And it shows in their actions. Actions speak louder than words. Because you can say one thing, but you go and do another, and that is your true intent. That is your shadow calling out. And given that we're the only beings that do this sort of shit with our kids, there's not really any other inhabitant on this planet that is that involved in their offspring's life once they reach maturation. They guide them and raise them to adulthood, and then basically they're off on their own. They're off to make their own families, have their own offspring, make their own nests. And you don't see the grandma bird going into the nest and telling the mother bird how to raise their babies. Like, where do you see that? I don't see that anywhere else except in humans. And we're just taking experience away from our children. We're robbing them of the experience that they could explore of their own. And forcing them to be the extension of us. When we're marrying to one another, that's the lessons that we're learning from one another. That's the knowledge that we're imparting to each other. That's the wisdom that we're giving each other. And the only way you can be hurt by a child is if your inner child is hurt, if your shadow is broken. So how about you grow up and embrace your inner child? I had watched Drop Dead Fred yesterday. I haven't seen that movie since I was a child. And at the end, the main character goes into her mind, which is her childhood home, and faces the people in her life that are causing, her growth, the adversity to her evolution. And at the end, she frees herself as a child and embraces her. And that is when she becomes whole. And I knew it. Fireworks. Anyways, thanks, universe. And that is when she became secure within herself and found her confidence and embodied her self-concept. And she was unbothered by those that used to bother her, that could trigger her. And I just love that movie. I'm kind of like, why did they have her as a child with like light blue eyes, and then as an adult she has dark brown eyes? Pretty sure she wasn't wearing colored contacts. I was like, okay, continuity of casting. But that's the 1990s for you again, the Wild Wild West, Lord of the Flies shit. So if you can give yourself the permission to fully embrace who you wanted to be as a child, who you envisioned yourself as an adult, when you were a child, be the one that would have protected you as a child. That is your ascension. That is you're just the ultimate level of healed, and there's really nothing else left to do. Even those of us who are conscious and healed, we can still hurt others by the things that we say, because they're not on our level. Bashar says that unconscious people hurt you, or else basically they wouldn't hurt you if they were conscious. But I've experienced that what I say can hurt someone who's not conscious, because their ego's inflated and their shadow's broken. Wasn't my intent to hurt them. It's my intent to uphold a boundary, and I can only impart that boundary in the most diplomatic way possible. But if that person's not on my level, they're not going to take it in the best way. But you know what? Should that activate them to self-reflect and reconsider the way they interact with others, then so be it. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. If you want Kalima, you're gonna get Kalima. See you in the next one.